Good morning, everyone. Uh, Beautiful morning out here. The sun is shining, and it just couldn't be any better, and can never be any better without the Lord. So let us join. Let us begin our reflection for the 28th Sunday of Ordinary Time. From the first reading from Second Book of Kings, chapter 5, verses 14 to 17. Quoting, Naaman went down and plunged into the Jordan 7 times at the word of Elisha, the man of God. Jesus himself had been baptized in the Jordan. The symbolism of plunging below the water and rising up can be seen for Naaman as a cleansing as well as a resurrection from all that was sinful and a life lived in a belief of false gods. Naaman, quoting again, stood before Elisha and said, Now I know there is no God in all the earth except in Israel. He had found not only good health in the place of leprosy, but even more important, a holiness that gave him eternal life. Elisha rejects Naaman's gift because he acts only to receive his reward from God, not from any human being. As well as Naaman, Elisha lives for what is eternal and not just for what is temporary. Then going on to the third reading, Luke chapter 17, verses 11 to 19. Jesus has compassion on the lepers and cleanses them. Only the Samaritan, a little note on the side here, who was deemed to be a wretched traitor to what was considered the only true Judaism, because worship was thought only acceptable that was centered in Jerusalem and Samaritans worshipped in Samaria. Now, only the Samaritan, realizing he had been healed, returned glorifying God in a loud voice, and he fell at the feet of Jesus and thanked him. Jesus said to him, Stand up and go. Your faith has saved you. Apparently, the other 9 were so absorbed and self centered that they could not think beyond and outside of themselves to the giver of the incredible gift that they had just received. The 9 received a gift that could only last to the grave. The Samaritan received a gift that was temporary, but also, more importantly, the gift of faith that was eternal. The 9 probably thought just of themselves, returning to a normal, healthy life. Living our lives within the boundaries of our own self is to live in a small, insular world. Living our lives with God as the center is to live in a world that is boundless. The second reading, 2 Timothy chapter 2, verses 8 to 13. Paul is witnessing from the sufferings of his own life to the necessity to endure the difficulties of staying on the narrow way in the world that cannot understand or accept anyone who is not self serving, but is God centered instead. Jesus says in John chapter 17, verse 14, A and B, I gave them your word, and the world hated them because they do not belong to the world. Paul writes, This saying is trustworthy. If we have died with him, we shall also live with him. If we persevere, we shall also reign with him. The world apart from God is only empowered to provide us up to the grave, but not beyond. Only God can give what is eternal. God bless all of us as we grow always, each and every day in the Lord.